The oil pump is of great importance in the fixed focus system, because it is possible to transfer heat through a suitable fluid such as oil, and almost all the efficiency of the system can be done with hot oil transfer. An oil pump with special conditions must be used in the fixed focus system. This video describes the construction of a type of oil pump with unique conditions for the system. This oil pump is made simply and eliminates the need of the system. With respect, Ebrahim Hashemi. Hi to all of you. Welcome to the Fixed Focus program. I'm Ebrahim Hashemi and this is another The Fixed Focus program. In this program, I want to talk about the construction of an important part of the fixed focus system. The main task of this system is to make the focus extremely hot. And we have to use a suitable fluid to transfer this heat to the place of consumption. If we consider oil as the best fluid, we need an oil pump that is placed at the bottom to do this task. In this figure, you can see an overview of the oil pump system. Therefore, the duty of the oil pump is to transfer the very hot oil to the required place. The oil pump used in the fixed focus system has special characteristics. There are various oil pumps in the market that will not be suitable for this system. Some oil pumps are too big and not suitable for work. The oil pump used in the fixed focus system must have special conditions. First, it should not have a closed loop. It means that the oil is not under pressure. Second, it should be low consumption, and third, it should withstand high temperature and also have a reasonable price. And fourthly, that have an oil tank. I have built an oil pump here. This oil pump is like this and its dimensions depend on the size of the fixed focus system. The tank of this oil pump has a capacity of 1.5 liters and this amount is suitable. 1.5 liters can cover 40 meters of copper pipe. If a longer length is needed, the volume of the tank can be made larger. Let's go for the description of the oil pump system. Now I have separated all of them. If I wanted to make a film along with the construction of all the equipment, maybe the film time would be 3 hours longer and you would be out of patience. Now I will try to explain how to prepare the parts on assembly. In this system, I used a motorcycle oil pump and tried to choose a model that is available everywhere. This pump sample is very abundant and its price is between $3 and $5. You can even get it from scrap motorcycles, provided it is healthy. By rotating this gear in one direction, the oil enters the pump from one side and exits from the other side. In the figure, the oil entry and exit locations are specified. We don't need plastic gear parts to make oil pump. And we don't have anything to do with it and we leave it aside. We need this part of the gear of the oil pump. Now I will open its screws. You can see that it consists of two pieces of iron gear that you can see in the picture. Of course, we have nothing to do with the way the gears work, and you can read about it separately. It is important for us to direct the hot oil outlet out of this little box. For this, we need to connect a copper pipe to the place where the oil exits. But the material of the cover plate is aluminum, and it cannot be welded to a copper pipe, and the heat also causes it to be damaged. Well, what can be the solution? We can screw a small pipe with external thread to the place. And it is better to use an iron plate of suitable dimensions, and its thickness should be 4 millimeters. And then mark the required holes in the aluminum cover and then drill them. For holes, 2 of which are related to screws and 2 are related to oil entry and exit, as shown in the figure. The metal plate must be thoroughly polished with soft sandpaper. And before that, we weld the copper pipe to the iron plate as shown in the picture. And after polishing the plate, we screw it to the aluminum plate on the oil box as shown in the picture. You can see the example that I made, and I have also shaped the copper pipe. So, until this part, we directed the oil out. Well, for the tank, we need a suitable iron cylinder or pipe, to which we weld a thick plate to one side. This plate has a thickness of 4 millimeters. This thickness makes it not bend during welding, and its weight puts the center of gravity of the pipe down. However, before welding, 2 legs must be welded to screw the pump to the plate. A nut is welded on each base as shown in the figure. This should be done carefully, and the center of the motorcycle oil pump should be in the center of the plate. The result of this work is a metal cylinder that has 2 legs on the bottom. Make sure that the weld of the cylindrical pipe and iron plate is completely sealed and oil does not leak. If you look carefully, I have welded 3 iron nuts with an angle of 120 degrees inside the iron pipe and near its edge, and this is only to close the cover. The edge that has been cut is for the output copper tube, and this other hole is for the return oil. Now I place the pump inside the tank along with the formed copper tubing and screw it to the floor mounts. First I put the screws on it, and then I tighten it with a screwdriver. You can see that the outlet pipe is located outside the tank like this. Pay attention to the fact that the welding of the bases is done in such a way that the center hole of the pump is in the center of the plate and the center of the cylinder is the center hole of the pump. Well, let's go to the 12-volt electric motor that I have connected with a metal pipe as a drive shaft. This shaft goes into the pump and causes it to rotate and is connected with a screw to the pipe that is connected to the motor. This shaft is equivalent to the main shaft of the pump itself, and of course a little thinner, which easily fits into the oil pump gear hole. Here, a tube with a suitable length is placed between the shaft and the motor, and the holes on both sides of the tube, which is the place where the screw passes, are perpendicular to each other. The electric motor that is suitable for this work must be a permanently working electric motor. Its power consumption is 5 watts and its working voltage is 12 volts. This motor has 200 revolutions per minute and has a very long life. This DC electric motor works easily with a 10-watt panel and is directly connected to the panel and works as long as the sun shines. The metal pipe between the iron shaft and the electric motor shaft makes the motor not be under pressure if the motor shaft is not directly in front of the input shaft to the oil pump. Now, if I start the engine, you can see that it can rotate easily with an angular error. Well, let's go to the method of bending the copper pipe and assembling the rest of the oil pump system. Another thing I have to say about the connecting pipe is that this pipe makes less heat transfer to the electric motor. Of course, you can use acetal pipe with high heat tolerance. A method of bending the copper pipe to 180 degrees to prevent the pipe from blocking is like this copper pipe. Suppose I want to bend this piece of copper pipe. Here I use a number of tow wires, for example, a bicycle brake wire. I pass the tow wires through the pipe and then I bend the pipe. I press the bend a little with pliers in the opposite direction of the bend. You can see that the wires come out easily and the bend is not blocked. Well, let's go to the cap. You can see that 3 nuts are welded to the inner wall of the tube. I used white acetal sheet for the cover and glued a piece of black heat-resistant foam underneath. Now, in this way, I pass the shaft and the tube through the appropriate hole that I have made in the center of the cap. And now I close the screws of the DC motor, and you can install a hole on this cover for pouring oil and dipstick oil gauge. Now, I put the shaft inside the pump, and by turning on the electric motor a little, I set it inside the pump's moving gear. Now the placing is done, and we have to make sure that the electric motor is not exposed to rain and sunlight. Here I have made a cover from PVC pipe that I will put on the motor, and I have made a hole for the power wire to pass through. Now I will put the cover on the engine like this and close its 4 sides with screws. An important point about this oil pump system is that the oil is not under pressure in this system. If you pay attention to the fixed focus system, when the focus is hot and the oil flow is stopped, the oil is transferred to the tank due to the lack of pressure and height. And if there is oil, this oil is sublimated, and the pressure of the sublimated gases does not cause pressure in the pipes. Therefore, oil pumps that have a closed cycle are not suitable for us. Here, the oil is transferred from the pump to the focus and gets hot in the focus, and the hot oil returns directly to the consumer. The oil used by the consumer system is returned to the oil pump tank. Suppose this piece of copper pipe is oil returned from the consumer. Another thing I remembered is that if you want to weld the pipe to a metal plate under the pump, in order for the pipe to bend less and occupy less space, cut the pipe at a 45-degree angle and then weld it. Be careful that the entire oil pump system must be insulated against rain or water penetration, and you can put a cover over it. You can make different choices about the type of oil, but the easiest way is to use car oil. Some car oils can withstand heat between 250 and 300 degrees Celsius. Do not be afraid of the high heat of these oils in focus, because they will eventually sublimate and the sublimated gases will dissolve in the oil itself. After using the oil for a while, it gives off a special smell, which is related to the sublimation of the oil, and there is no need to change it. You might think that you should use a stronger oil pump, but I must say that the oil flow rate has no effect on increasing the system's efficiency. Well, I can't think of anything else to say. I hope this program has been useful for you. Of course, so far with the videos published about the fixed focus system, almost all components have been reviewed and there are only a few items that I will explain in future programs. Then we will discuss the efficiency and method of using the system, so until the next program, goodbye.